How much time? 30? 30 seconds. I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
Run.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, there, thems and comrades alike, welcome to the Brews at 10. It's a Tuesday Brews Day. I'm your host Lefty. A very warm welcome to everybody on the stream. How are you brewing? Idiosyncrasy was first in the chat, but has apparently now had to leave. Oh dear. So, mixed emotions to kick off, but if you are watching back later on, great to briefly see you, sort of. Popeye made this. Sorry, I'm just going off people's handles at the moment, not your actual names. This has persisted for a couple of weeks now, I think, and I've spotted it on other streams. Oh, good to see you. Mo's with us as well, awesome stuff. Great to see a quality audience building up. Please make sure you hit thumbs up as you join us on stream, people. Let's brew this thing. Yes, it's a stream with a poll surrounding the main topic of tonight's stream. I have it on good authority that this is potentially the worst thing on YouTube. The new Liz Truss show, which launched yesterday, was it? So please fill out the poll as to whether you think endeavours on YouTube will last longer, or a lettuce. And she's 1-0 down at the moment, where confrontations and contests with lettuces go. And it has to have happened already. Someone will have set up some sort of real, either channel or live stream, whatever, for a lettuce like they did last time. If not, though, you heard it here first, and that's my idea. And I'll see you in course. Normally joking. So, out of pure curiosity, morbid curiosity, it has to be said, we'll be checking out the Liz Truss show. It's gonna be awful. It's going to be awful. Not this stream, of course. I'm talking about the Liz Truss show. This is going to be quality streaming. Hopefully, we can entertain ourselves whilst we subject ourselves to a bit of I don't know. Is it an ego trip? Her latest ego trip, or attempt at a revamp for her career? Who knows? Chris Hughes is with us as well. Solidari-Tea. And the shouty bloke. No need to shout. Shouty bloke. At the start of the stream scared the crap out of you though. Apologies. Also coming up, a bit of a debate about minimum wage, because Kemi Bad Enoch has thrown her hat into the ring on this one, but I'm going to take a bit more of a retrospective and historical look at minimum wage and austerity in general, and of course the wealth gap favouring the rich, history repeating, that kind of ties in with the current argument. A few other bits and pieces as well. So get comfortable, people. We'll have a comedy clip. It's stuck on caps. That's perfectly fine. Good to see you making light of it with the handle. Solidari-Tea, shouty blog. Sporting the Corbyn, one of the two Corbyn membership tags as well. And speaking of members, let's give a shout out to the whole crew. Ross Ratton, and I believe your name is on this list as well as other people in the chat, so thanks again everybody. Sitting on exactly 100 at the moment. So still in three-figure land. On the way towards 250. Let's hope so. See, everybody's looking out for the shouty bloke's name in the members list now. Oh. Yeah, but other ways you can support the channel. Super chats are open if you're watching live. Super thanks if you watch back later on, and there's a Buy Me a Coffee page in the description of this stream or any other content on the channel. Laugh or die. Well, when we're going through the Liz Truss show, I'm pretty sure if we're not laughing, we'd be crying. Yes, or Solidari-Tea with all the members. I think I've mentioned all the ways that you can support the channel. Oh, of course, give us a share and a follow on social media. You can follow us at MyLeftyUK on Blue Sky, Twitter and Mastodon. That's Blue Sky, Twitter and Mastodon are the three main ones. Do have to admit though, Mastodon is pretty quiet relative to the other two. Still post there as regularly, but not yet developed to such great heights. Yeah, just a quick one as well. For anybody who was looking for yesterday's live stream, but was unable to find it until earlier this evening. Apologies for that, just had to do a quick re-edit on the stream. And edit out that ridiculous comedy clip I cut short. Sorry about that. It was shared by someone on social media. Not seen it all the way through. But it's back up now. If you want to check it out, if you missed it yesterday. After you've watched this one, of course. Why not do a marathon? Why not do a sponsored 24 hours, in fact, 72, no, a month. A month of live streams. Not even sure if it'd last a month if you strung them all together. JK, great to see you. Yes, keeping very busy this week. Trying to squeeze in as many streams as I can. Got some other business later on in the week. Which I'm going to spuriously say that that's as much as I can say on that matter. Doc Davies with us as well. Awesome to see you. Speaking of being busy, actually, I will be back tomorrow, of course, for PMQs. Well, it's the final one before they break up. Before 2026. I'm sure a few people were perhaps even betting that Keir Starmer has stepped down before the end of the year. Not myself, personally, but wouldn't surprise me. And I don't say that I could blame them. What do you say?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Oh God!
Alright people, I think all formalities just about taken care of. 100%, just a quick one on the poll, 100% of those who have voted believe a lettuce will have the most longevity between itself and the Liz Truss show. The Liz Truss show. The pronunciation of which is a sobriety test in itself. Okay, people. 100%. I might stick my neck out and say it'll probably stay like that for the rest of the poll. If this wasn't a faceless channel, if I had a webcam set up or whatever, I would probably have a lettuce live on the stream right now, to be honest. I'd go for the lettuce as well, you'd have to side with the lettuce. Sky Vori Things, nice to see you on a stream for the first time, apparently. Long time viewer. Awesome stuff, brilliant, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we'll keep fighting the good fights, as always. As always. Apologies, I can still only see people's handles, not your actual YouTube names. I haven't chased this up, I have to be perfectly honest with you. When this happened, oh God, it must be about a year ago now, maybe, when a few other things started happening. Do you remember the old gifted memberships not going through? That sort of thing? But on this occasion, based on what I learned last time, actually trying to get to the crux of it is more or less impossible. So we'll just have to wait and see. Perhaps if YouTube want to hire the excellent and excellently trained technical team that we've got here on my left eye at the Brews at 10. These are free-range primates and marsupials that we have. Their enclosures are probably bigger than most houses, let's be honest, because animal welfare is one of the primary concerns. But yeah, maybe they could lend a hand with those gremlins in the works. Opening clip time. Okay, enough of my babbling, people. Let's get into things. You feel free to babble away, of course, in the chat, but we'll get cracking with the opening comedy clip. I do actually need to upload these live whilst I'm with you. Sorry, a very short amount of time to prep. It only takes a second though. You might recognise this YouTuber. Not used one of their clips on the comedy clip segments for a while actually, but Intel Lady, do you remember? She did, I think she did a Angela Rayner impression in one of the other clips that I showed. This one's about victims of Nigel Farage in a parody BBC Verify. So let's see what's happening, people. This is Intel Lady. Highly recommend a subscription there, people, if you want to show some Solidari-Tea this Tuesday Brews Day.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of BBC Verify. I'm Sophie von Gaslight. Tonight we bring you a very harrowing report. This story has been fully verified, so we believe it's quite true. Before we continue with this report, we would like to advise our viewers that the contents could be quite triggering, as it deals with the actions of Brexit enthusiast and far-right adjacent political party leader Nigel Farage. Following the very brave decision of a former classmate
Yeah, sorry about that, people. That's the reason why I don't upload clips live. It can get a bit wobbly on the broadcast software when I do that sometimes. But here is Intel Lady, without further ado, hopefully.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of BBC Verify. I'm Sophie von Gaslight. Tonight we bring you a very harrowing report. This story has been fully verified, so we believe it's quite true. Before we continue with this report, we would like to advise our viewers that the contents could be quite triggering, as it deals with the actions of Brexit enthusiast and far-right adjacent political party leader Nigel Farage. Following the very brave decision of a former classmate to come forward and share their story with BBC Verify, somebody else has now remembered that they were also a victim of Reform UK party leader Nigel Farage. They have asked us to conceal their identity and their voice, as they are deeply concerned of any backlash they may receive from the far-right adjacent. We recorded this interview earlier today. Thank you so much for bravely coming forward to speak with us.
I felt it was my duty.
So when did you first meet Nigel Farage?
We were at nursery together.
And what were those early days like for you?
Really hard. We were a middle-class family, but my parents struggled to make ends meet.
And when exactly did you meet Nigel Farage?
I remember vividly sitting in the sandpit. I looked at him. I said, "Hello," and he just scoffed and kicked sand in my face. I'll never forget how he made me feel.
And was that an isolated incident?
I really wish it was. There was another time when I was playing with the train tracks. He came over, took the toy train from my hands, then proceeded to dismantle the tracks, laughing in my face.
That sounds really distressing.
It was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just take a moment. Are you happy to continue?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
After that harrowing incident with the train tracks, did you have any more run-ins with him?
Yes. Every time he saw me, he used to make choo-choo noises. He was delighting in mocking me. I still, to this day, can't get on trains.
And whilst he was making these choo-choo noises, did he say anything else to you?
Yes. I vividly remember him saying, "Either you support the existing global elite, or you want real change and believe in nation-state democracy." Those words haunt me every day.
Thank you so much for your bravery in coming forward today. I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
With all these fully verified accounts of appalling behaviour, it might be time for Reform UK to look inward at the behaviour of their leader, Nigel Farage. I'm Sophie von Gaslight with BBC Verify.
Intel lady. Yeah, good stuff. Specifically, remember that in the sandpits. Right, let's get into stories and articles and perhaps having a hernia at watching the Liz Truss show. Still 100% of you think a lettuce will last longer? We'll soon find out. Okay, people. Prepare yourselves. This is a first time watch for me. Apart from the first few seconds or so. Oh, and I think about 20 seconds worth of a YouTube short. And even just those 20 seconds, yeah, if we're in for whatever it is. Actually, we'll see how we do. It's a 45-minute long show. So I'll see how long indeed, how long we can last. Jesus wept. Okay, let's do it. This is the last moment in time we will never not have been subjected to this. We won't be able to unsee it.
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
I have just accepted Her Majesty the Queen's kind invitation to form a new government. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's fantastic.
This is a very, very Americanized editing technique so far, and perhaps a little immodest, might we say? Straight in with, I was Prime Minister, you know, you fucking plebs, bow, bow. Jesus. And that's in the first 5 seconds. And it sounds like the introduction to American Gladiators or some fucking shit like that, if you'll pardon my French. Might get a bit sweary this evening based on the quality of this. Let's just watch that again from the start.
I have just accepted Her Majesty the Queen's kind invitation.
That background bit, what does it sound like? Just those... Sorry, I won't interrupt so much when it's playing through. We'll be here all frigging night. It's just reminded me of something. Oh, it's like the chase sceney bits from Terminator.
I have just accepted Her Majesty the Queen's kind
But hopefully
invitation
Liz
to
Truss
form
can be
a new
stopped.
government. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's fantastic to be back.
In this new era,
What's with the, like,
we're taking a new approach.
It will be
this sort of orchestrally, heavy metal-y thing going on. That's very cringe already. Might have to prepare an extra vomit bag for this one.
Uncensorable and uncancelable. We can't give in to those who say we can't do better.
That is a disgrace. We can make the West great again.
She used her own parody clip in a hypey American Gladiators intro. The one that, I mean, I've fucking used it myself. I'm sure I have in videos and stuff, but she doesn't get the irony, apparently. That was the famous cheese, how much cheese we have to import clip from, God, however many years ago it was, a while ago now. Fuck me.
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
It's not even started.
Status quo is not an option.
Welcome to the first ever edition of the Liz Truss Show. You'd have to be watching the fake news BBC or living on Elon Musk's Mars.
All right, just very quickly, let's just very quickly dive in and assess the background here. She's got the Tony Blair with the evil eyes. She's going after Blair. She's got some books behind her that she can't read. What else over there? Is that her own book? She's got one of her own books as well. By the look of it, is that her dumb face On the front, probably. They're probably not even real books, to be honest. They're probably Blu-ray covers. Elaborate Blu-ray covers of Peppa Pig and Thomas the Tank Engine. So, right, let's crack on through the clip. And a lamp that looks like a weird UFO. What, I don't know what that is on the right, on the bottom shelf. She perhaps an award that she gave to herself or something like that, but we'll get on with the clip instead of overanalyzing the background. This is already the biggest bag of shit I've ever seen, by the way, and I've seen a lot of bags of shit.
Mission to not know that Britain is going to hell in a handcart. Despite the valiant efforts of a certain Prime Minister to get things on the right track in 2022, this country seems to have a death wish. Our economy is in meltdown. Industrial towns are in a worse state than ever before. The last vestiges of a once proud British
She doesn't know
industry,
who she is.
Steel towns, mill towns, car towns, are being killed off by eco-zealots. Small businesses are dying. Big businesses are leaving.
She's either completely ignorant to or unaware of the fact that she was out after 40 days because her and Kwasi Kwarteng tanked the economy on this country so far that we were going to hell in a handcart, as she puts it. The lack of self-awareness is beyond measure, people. What can you say? This whole general thing will be a complete leaf out of the Farage playbook, pandering to the American audience. You can tell from the intro title, but she does the rounds at CPAC and those other shithouse events. So that's really going to be a main modus operandi, I think. But it's a lame effort. She's certainly not going to replicate the fading success that Farage has had with that play.
We're now poorer than Mississippi. It's like Huckleberry Finn without the steamboats. People are having to pull their own...
So the metric for how well our country doing now is relative to Mississippi, is it? She's talking about the UK.
Zealots. Small businesses are dying. Big businesses are leaving. We're now poorer than Mississippi. It's like Huckleberry Finn without the steamboats. People are having to pull their own teeth out because they can't...
And we all know how poor Mississippi is, don't we? That's right, MISSI,
...get a dentist. We've been importing Islamists who want to destroy our country, from imposing Sharia law to orchestrating terror attacks. Gangs of Pakistani heritage criminals have carried out unspeakable sex crimes against young girls for decades.
Well, even after pausing it a few seconds later, let's call it 1 minute 40. Already like the ramblings of a drugged horse. And she's, again, pandering to the far right with this. Sharia law in Britain. There are towns that are no-go zones and all this other demonstrably untrue horse shit that Americans lap up because they really buy it. No one's... Well, there are people over there who know the truth, but they're not interested in the truth. But because they've heard it from a former UK Prime Minister, they think it's completely valid. Give me a break. Put down the crack pipe, Liz, please.
These crimes have been covered up by the authorities. We even have Islamist MPs in the House of Commons, backing cousin marriage and all kinds of barbaric practices. No one can be deported, thanks to the web of human rights law and the subversion of our justice system.
Nobody. Not zero. We have 0 deportations now. As well, that's actually a new one. Not that she, as some of you are pointing out in the chat, probably writes her own material. But yeah, that's one new piece of shit that we've not had before.
People are in despair.
I'm already in
But they're not
despair,
even allowed
and we're
to
2
talk
minutes
about it.
in, Liz.
If you speak out against the Islamists or the transgender ideologues, you can be arrested. Anytime, any place, anywhere. Heathrow Airport, your house, the office.
No. No. Being anti-pro-trans, if you want to put it that, being anti-trans does not get you arrested. She's referring, without being specific there, I think, to the Graham Lynham case. He was arrested at a public airport. He snatched someone's phone and smashed it on the ground, and then was also very verbally aggressive towards a trans woman, which is why he was arrested, not just because he's anti-trans and a washed-up fucking dick.
The nation that invented free speech, and it was in 1695 that the free press was established, is now the home of state censorship. This calamity, the fall of Britain...
What's she going to say next? They've taken 3 colours out of the rainbow. They want to socialise the moon. Where's it going to stop? Where's it going to stop?
Fall of England, the fall of London, is being presided over by a governing elite who hate our country. It's not just the dismal Labour Party.
It's capitalism, Liz.
That's the... Starmer. It's the Conservatives in name only, who wanted to be the heirs to Blair. It's the Communist Greens, Zach Polanski, who is the British answer to New York Mayor Mandami, without the...
Oh, she wouldn't know what communism was if Leon Trotsky fell out of a tree and hit her on the fucking head.
American teeth. It's the bureaucrats who've been captured by the left and the judiciary, who are a self-perpetuating oligarchy. This deep state has amassed more and more power. In the famous sitcom Yes Minister, it used to be the case that civil servant Sir Humphrey was occasionally got the better of by Prime Minister Jim Hackett. In modern Yes Minister...
Oh, really? Yeah, great modern... What would that be? 50-year-old? Is it about 50 years old, would it be? Whatever it is. Yeah, great modern comedy reference there, Liz. Jiminy cricket.
The bureaucrats hold all the cards, and Sir Humphrey is now a radicalised trans activist. It's the BBC and the mainstream media and their captured regulator Ofcom. When the BBC are not busy lying about Donald Trump, they're...
Just had to stand down because of that edit on Panorama with the Donald Trump thing from the January 6th insurrection. You know the story, what I'm on about when I get the words in the right order, people. But that happened, it was last week, Liz. That was like last week. Get with the programme.
In their own midst. I think
this woman became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Let's just take a moment to remind ourselves, perhaps repeat that phrase, if it does assist you in remembering that this woman used to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, albeit for 40 days. Still not the least popular Prime Minister ever, thanks to you-know-who. Bottom of the pile.
The best news that we've had in the last month is that President Trump is suing them for all their worth. I'd rather my licence fee money went to Trump...
That means he's suing us. That's our frigging money.
...media than Trotskyite media.
Trotsky.
All these people...
I 100% swear to God, this is the first time I'm watching this. I mentioned she wouldn't know what communism was if Leon Trotsky fell out of a tree and hit her on the head or something like that. And there she goes and accuses the BBC of being Trotskyist. Oh. Even I couldn't have scripted that one.
The bureaucracy, the BBC, the bourgeoisie live in enclaves in London and the home counties where they can blank out the truth about what's happening in their...
Yeah, like, I've never been in with the establishment at any level. Dude. Like, what's with all these upper middle class and upper class people? What's all that about? They're the real problem. Then someone's going to bring us something on a fucking silver tray or something with fine bone china cups.
Their Gales bakeries and their gated residences, and look at spreadsheets telling them everything will get better. This show is going to lift the lid on what is going on. We're going to tell you exactly how bad it is.
You're a total bloody shambles!
We will be hearing first-hand accounts and witnesses to the fall of Britain.
We'll get to her credit. This is comedy gold. This is... You can either laugh or be angry, but I'll go with the former, where this is concerned. You know, we know that nobody's gonna buy into it here in the UK. I guess you might get a passing mention in the US, but it's pure ego. It's purely for her own ego. This show. Like, she's got one of her own books open there on the fucking. Oh, I need a minute, people. Okay. What was my overriding point there?
Also going to tell you about how these evildoers are working to do...
Oh, yeah, sorry, the lack of awareness of her own class, her own status, of course, notwithstanding.
the same thing in America and Europe. We will identify the tactics and the game plan of the enemy. Secondly, we'll talk about who is responsible. Who is behind the deep state? Who are their allies in politics and the media? And how does the international network of leftists work to subvert democracy and the will of the people?
What do you think it is, the 1950s? This, okay, you're going to try and relaunch the, well, Big Red Scare, not that it ever went away, of course.
But this show is not just doom and gloom.
The network.
We want to save Britain and Europe and the West, and we will bring optimism and hope.
But we're networking people.
So we're going to talk about what needs to be done. We're going to look at the Trump revolution and see how this can be achieved in Britain. We'll be talking to the leading lights of the MAGA movement.
We're going to put up a felon and a sex offender and a fraud.
We'll be dissecting Project 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the home of the counter-revolution. Welcome to the Liz Truss Show. It's great to be joined by...
Oh, fucking... Oh, no. Oh, my days. Oh, stop the lights. Fucking hell. What? She actually thinks that she's gonna... Oh, yeah. There'll be flags in the streets, Liz.
by Matt Goodwin, who is Britain's #1 Substack, as well as being an academic who's a specialist in these subjects. Matt.
You might as well interview that fucking cactus. Sorry, whatever, the cacti.
What is the problem in Britain today, and exactly how bad is it?
Well, I think there are lots of people who would say the problem is mass immigration, the problem is broken borders.
And I'll just say, I know this is coming from a faceless channel, but she's probably got a few quid in her back pocket, Liz Truss. She certainly hasn't spent it all on books. Fucking hell. Yeah, but I know it's episode 1 for Do's, early days, but it's just this setup here.
The problem is an economy that isn't growing, but the thing that stands...
Did somebody get paid? Some interior designer get paid a lot of money for this blue background that doesn't even reach the periphery of the shot for decent framing. And the plants, and that's it. That'll be £3,500, please. And Liz Truss will pay it. Yep. Oh, what a bargain. Oh, okay.
behind all of that, I would argue, is the ruling class, is what I would call the new elite. A new regime that basically dominates
you
almost
and
all
nobody
of the
else.
institutions in the country. We know, for example, from rigorous polling that 75% of all people in those institutions lean to the left. But fundamentally, it's a ruling class that is very different from what we might call the old elite in Britain.
I'll throw this out to you, people, dear audience, people in chat, watching live. Out of all of the BBC reporters, hosts that you are familiar with, radio, TV, whatever it might be, who do you consider to be the furthest to the left? I'll let that stew for a few moments. Red F's with us, as well as Andy Carter. Sorry, nearly read the full name out. Well, great to see you both. So, yeah, this Trotskyist, is it? Socialist BBC that we have. Oh yeah, Fiona Bruce, clearly socialist. Laura Kussenberg. It's that Laura Kussenberg, isn't it? Of course. She must be a communist because she's interviewed Zara Sultana and Zach Polanski. Oh, that makes perfect sense in Liz Truss' La La Land. Okay, let's continue with the counter-revolution, whatever it was this dickhead described, something network, was it? Whatever.
Britain. Now, that old elite, basically running until about the 1960s,
whatever,
was very disconnected from ordinary people, but believed in the nation.
Socialist elites is almost an oxymoron. You moron.
That old elite saw itself as custodians of the nation, believed in the continuity of Britain. This new elite from the 1960s onwards is very different. It basically is dominated by what I would call suicidal empathy, an outlook that is all about extending compassion.
What is he blaming fucking Harold Wilson and Ted Heath now?
Extending tolerance, extending a belief in diversity at the expense of its own people.
Just for anybody who's not familiar with UK politics, Liz Truss started her career as a Liberal Democrat candidate, apparently. She's now been disowned by her own parents after a shift to the right for some time now, has to be said. I'm not sure exactly what year she defected to the Tories, but she started off as, apparently, a young, chirpy Lib Dem back in the day. Zits and all.
At the expense of the country. So what we have now are politicians who would say porous borders is fine so long as we are showing empathy to other people. Mass uncontrolled immigration is fine, no matter its effect on the economy, so long as we are showing tolerance to other people. It's a very morally righteous framework, and it's one that is ultimately, I think, destroying our country.
We see the same thing in the US, don't we?
This is a natural conversation. It is certainly not scripted. Yes, what a very good point that you make there. Now, what do you think about the leftist... Jesus Christ. We might have to skip through segments of this, but a couple of decent shouts there in the chat about the subject of who's furthest to the left on the BBC. Victoria Derbyshire's preferable to Laura Kussenberg, isn't she? But not like left through and through. Yeah, Alexis L does have a show on Radio 4, but it's not news. He goes on random train journeys, doesn't he? And talks to random passengers about stuff, and it's very sort of low-key and relaxed. He's not your typical zany Alexis Hale as landlord Jerzy Belowski or anything like that. But he's a Maoist, I believe, Alexis Hale, and he was raised Maoist by his Maoist parents.
You saw that with the way the Democrats are going, people like Mandami, but back to Barack Obama. You know, the same approach, this idea that the human rights of everybody is just important as the human rights of people in their own country. This self-loathing, actually, just really not liking the idea of Britain. I think this is behind a lot of the EU love, is that people just don't want...
Going straight for the, you know, capitalism messed everything up. So did neoliberalism. So did neoconservatism. They'll ignore all of those obvious... And it's just, no, because too many... It's because of a lack of optimism. You don't love your country enough. In fact, people hate the country. It's you hating the country. And it's harking back to the people not wanting, air quotes, Brexit to work. You know, that kind of thing. You just have to wish for it, sort of. What a lot of... I'm running out of metaphors here. Animal excrement. But this is pure toilets.
To be associated with the entity that's Britain. I mean, there's been a ludicrous debate this week about the British flag not even being allowed in Brighton because it's somehow racist to have the flag of your own country.
No, there isn't. It's because it's being used as an intimidatory tactic against migrants by the far right. I know it is. I'm not even sure if you know it is, because I'm not 100% certain that Liz Truss knows anything, if I'm being 100% honest with myself. And that's the same not just in Brighton but across the whole country, and we have it here in the northwest as well. This week especially, they look so pathetically shabby wrapped around the lampposts after recent storms and high winds, for example, dripping in the rain. It's quite a pathetic sight, which I think is quite a good visual metaphor or an allegory just for the far right movement in general. So that's what it's really all about, Liz. It's an intimidatory tactic. She wants Americans to think that they're not allowed to put it up at the town hall because it might offend whomever. It might offend... God, I don't even know what to make up. She'll think of something, though. The worst part is, though, that those who do pay attention in the United States wholeheartedly believe her, and they lap up all of this crap as though it's gospel.
Remember Sir Roger Scruton talking about the culture of repudiation, that basically what defines the elite class today is not just that they're self-critical, because that would be healthy in a society. We should all be, you know, our own constructive critics. But what Roger pointed out was that politicians, I think especially since the 90s, are now openly repudiating and rejecting their own nations, their own identity, their own history, partly because they see that as a way of winning more social status for themselves from other members of the global elite.
So,
fucking hell, like, and no offence to anybody who is in the 60s, 70s or beyond, but not everybody is. There is an increasing section of the population that is in that demographic, of course, but when they do the nostalgia thing for the far right, they want it to be like the good old days, which they normally talk about the 1970s. There are a great deal of people alive who have no living memory of such times, you know, and weren't adults or even born in the 1970s or 1980s, 1990s. So anyway,
as you know, I was a MP for 14 years, a government minister for 10 years. So I was in that system. And the whole time, you know, I went into politics because I'm a patriot, because I want this country to be great. Lots of other people that I went into politics with felt the same thing. You know, we didn't want open borders. We didn't want to end up with the highest taxes for 70 years. You know, we didn't want the state spending 45% of GDP. We didn't want to see, you know, young girls in towns across the UK raped by Pakistani, you know, gangs. You know, we didn't want any of that stuff. So
by Tommy Robinson rally attendees.
So I think the culture is much bigger than politics. It's also the bureaucracy. which under Tony Blair became weaponized.
Yeah.
You know, and far less easy for politicians to actually push in the right direction. But also just wider British society, you know, the corporate elite, the media.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a whole bunch of people. So as somebody who is right wing, you're a minority in that system.
Well, I think the way I would look at it, and I agree with much of what you said, the way I look at it is basically from 97 onwards, we had a Blair.
So far, collectively, and I do have a very good audience, I'm very pleased to say here on My Left Eye, high quality. So far, Victoria Derbyshire and Alexei Sale, who has a non-political show about what you're up to and where you're going on this train. So, implying that the vast majority of the BBC is full of Marxists and Leninists and Maoists and just out and out communism. They're all Bolsheviks.
Right revolution that was essentially about opening borders, transferring power to distant elites, downplaying the people or severing the link to the people, and politicizing public taxpayer-funded institutions. Now, the Conservatives, not all Conservatives, but a lot of Conservatives post-2010, either mainstreamed that revolution or they failed to reverse it.
Well, they said they wanted to be the heir to Blair.
So,
that was literally what the so-called modernisers in the Conservative Party said. People like David Cameron, Michael Gove, George Osborne. You know, they wanted to hug Huskies and stuff like that.
Well, they even called themselves progressive conservatives, which is an oxymoron.
And you saw the same thing in America, didn't you, with George Bush and compassionate
I'm not even going to waste any
conservatism,
brain energy on
which is kind of
hug
the minute you
Huskies
put a
thing.
word in front of conservative, you're kind of diluting it. You're saying, I'm a bit embarrassed to be a conservative, so I'm going to be a progressive conservative or a compassionate conservative. I don't really want the
Or a Liberal Democrat.
real thing.
I
want the Diet Coke, not the full fat Coke.
Was it Lord Glasman?
That's the Liberal Democrats. You are describing the Liberal Democrats.
And it's not what you want to hear, you know. And I think if
Absolute
you look
muppet.
at what happened to conservatism, is it fundamentally lost its way, which, as we know in British politics,
You're a total bloody shambles.
What I think was a precursor to Trump in America. You know, remember, it really was in the early 2000s. You began to see the UK Independence Party taking off. You then had the vote for Brexit, which of course came 6 months before Donald Trump's first election victory. And so you start to see the reconfiguration of the conservative right around something that is closer to where the average voter is. Because in my mind, basically what's happened is the ruling class,
it snowballs.
elite, the
It's like a
regime,
snowball
they
turd
moved sharply to the
that
cultural
just
left
can't be
in the last
stopped,
20
and it
years.
starts to
The
turn
average
orange
voter,
as
if anything, has gone to
it
the
gets
right
further through
on all these big
Trump's
cultural
term.
issues like immigration.
Well, that's definitely true. You were saying, though, that the...
I do sociology, I do. With this guy.
Still had a Thatcher government in the 80s. The issue
With a lot
is,
of opposition too.
But the issue is that society at the time was changing. And the left stopped fighting the battle at the ballot box. Instead, they started trying to take over media outlets, take over universities in particular, take over these kind of NGOs. You know, Stonewall, for example, has been very powerful at pushing the transgender agenda.
The Tories lost their majority heavily in 2017 because of the left movement, spearheaded by you know whom.
1980s Daniel Bell, who wrote Contradictions of Capitalism.
Not me, of course, Jeremy Corbyn.
That Western nations were now seeing the rise of a ruling class that both hated its own country, but yet enjoyed the benefits that that country had produced. So there was a double standard at work in the ruling class. They said, well, we'll use all of this freedom, you know, what we now refer to as a luxury belief class. We'll use all of these freedoms in order to push narratives and ideologies that undermine our own nation states from within. And unfortunately, a lot of conservatives, certainly not Thatcher, of course, who famously said, I'm sick of
and they can't define or describe this deep nation state, all of these loose terms that they use.
They sort of went along with that prevailing culture.
They say that they'll explain them, which leads to this, which again is just a series of untruths, lack of self-awareness, and outright bunkum, absolute twaddle. The whole damn lot of it.
You've now got voters who want change, who want a Trump-style revolution, they're not the ones with the power, because they're doing things like running small businesses. They tend to be living outside London. They're not part of the media class.
It was Napoleon who said that we're a nation of shopkeepers. You want to quote Napoleon?
There's a massive power imbalance, and that's what we've got. We've got a public who are very dissatisfied with the system. You know, Keir Starmer's polling at 15%. He's the most unpopular prime minister in history, but yet you don't really feel the sense of that if you're around in London or you're reading the mainstream media, because the people who are angry are not the people with the power.
So I think if you look at British politics today, the two parties that have dominated this country for more than a century are now combined on only 30 to 35%.
What's this invisible thing that he's constantly holding in his hand there and waving?
Of the national vote. What that tells me is that the traditional centres of power in this country are collapsing. Now, they haven't realised that yet, but it is very visible, not just in the polling, but in real-world elections.
And now he's just gone back to standard, with the thumb, air drumming, but with one hand.
That are actually taking place. So what we're seeing, and indeed one irony of British politics, particularly after Brexit, is that we have actually become a little bit more European, in the sense that our voters are saying, well, we're not going to go on with these two blocks that have failed our country. We're going to force through radical change. And we can see that in the polling. We can see it in the rise of reform. You also, by the way, see it in the rise of the Greens. So that British politics is basically becoming more polarised.
Eddie, nice to see you. We're just watching what could possibly be the worst thing on YouTube to date. That is the launch of the Liz Truss show. We're over coming up to half of the way through now. And yeah, so far, not so good.
I mean, I welcome that, because I think this country needs the most massive shake-up. My big fear, having spent 10 years doing battle with the civil service, ultimately as Prime Minister, being sabotaged by the Bank of England, the rest of the deep state, is I know how powerful these left-wing institutions are in Britain. They're more powerful in the US. Currently, the Prime Minister is not able to appoint the senior civil servants. They're not able to...
You announced a load of uncosted borrowing, and thus the markets shit the pants.
Appoint the Governor of the Bank of England, apart from once every 8 years. Do you think there is just going to be a huge problem in actually trying to change the way Britain is run? Because this isn't just a political problem. This is a massive system problem. The country's falling apart in every possible way, whether it's our infrastructure, whether you can get a dentist, the economy, whether or not you can open a business.
Yeah, look, she can't. They had to share a drink on their own show. That's how bad it is. Or Liz hasn't even got one. She lost the coin toss or whatever. It's just one cup on the table. Although knowing Liz, she's going to pick up the plants and start drinking out of that plant pot.
All of this stuff doesn't work. And most of the people controlling the levers of power are not on your side.
Unless you actually go to war with that political class.
This is great. The anti-establishment establishment. We're going to war. Don't like to judge people by how they look and whatnot. She looks as dumb as she sounds, and the words that come out of her mouth surpass even my lowest expectations of Liz Truss. Oh man, this is by the way, apparently going to trigger some sort of counter-revolution.
we will never, ever solve the second-order problems that really alienate millions of people from mass migration to the tax regime. So what does that mean? Well, if you compare and contrast America and Britain, one of the advantages President Trump has, is he can make thousands of appointments within the political system. He can wield enormous amounts of power through executive orders, among lots of other things. A prime minister here, as you know, is much more limited in terms of the number of appointments and the room for maneuver. So whatever radical shake-up government goes in, one of the first things they have to do is basically start breaking apart, reconfiguring the state, saying, for example, well, we are going to bring forward legislation that will allow the Prime Minister and the government.
Would need to be a republic if we were going to have the same system as the United States. Is he declaring an anti-monarchy stance? Does he want the monarchy to be abolished so that we can have a president and a senate?
The day to make a much wider number of
House of
appointments.
Representatives.
We are going to dramatically shrink the civil service. In my mind, at a philosophical level, it is the people who are going to save this.
So move the auto cue to the ceiling for a moment there.
Country. It has always been the British and the English people who save this country. It's never been the elite. So what we need to do is harness that popular sovereignty and apply it. Now that happened in 2019. People will remember, when it looked like the elite class was really going to ruin Brexit, was really going to overturn it. And in many ways they did dilute key aspects of Brexit. But fundamentally it was the people who basically said, look, we're not going to have to.
At the time they blamed Labour and they blamed Corbyn. And that was set up by Starmer for Corbyn's demise, of course, the announcement of the second referendum, which did actually pass at conference. But these elites, apparently, is who it is now. They can't even keep the story straight. They can't make their minds up about who was... because back then, they're trying to stop Brexit. Yeah, that was that finger was wagged firmly at the left. These people who used to have a go at Corbyn for what sort of course he wore at Remembrance Day now describe him as an elite. Or perhaps they're just making things up as they go along.
And they handed Boris Johnson at that time an enormous majority to get Brexit done. Now, we can go into the betrayals that followed on immigration and everything else, but it was the people reasserting their power against an elite class. We will now see that again. I'm confident of it. People will say, we've had enough of this settlement. We're going to actually save our country. Who harnesses that energy and how they apply it, I think, is $1 million question.
We've lost about 4% of GDP. We have lost probably hundreds of billions in the long run, even more. Money, in fact, well, I could go on.
Here's a plan for dealing with the Lords, like whether you pack it with new peers, whether you fundamentally reform it. It is shock and awe for the first 3 or 4
And that's what happened when people voted for an unsigned contract, by the way, fundamentally.
Because they're doing so badly?
Because they're doing so badly, but you can sense...
Oh no, they're agreeing with each other.
The opportunity for radical change in this country is now so immense because the two parties are breaking down. This status quo has been completely discredited.
I think people are understanding that we have a system problem, that it isn't just the politicians, that the police chiefs are failing. Yeah. If you look at the chief constable of the West Midlands Police, he's basically been...
Because of what their inherent racism and sexism and the other, the toxic culture, especially within the London Metropolitan Borough Police Force. Liz, she's interrupted there with a bit of an ad lib, maybe gone off script a little bit in making this point about the police. So is this going to be the left's fault as well?
Appeasing Islamists, or you look at the
appeasing Islamists,
and the decisions they're making in cases, or you look
what's
at
an Islamist?
Liz,
what's an Islamist? Do you mean a Muslim? What's an Islamist?
The bias at the BBC. This is not a problem that's restricted to the House of Commons.
Are you a Christianist?
And I would also even go...
Are you a Jesusist? Are you?
People can sense we are now actually at a civilizational moment.
Are you Abrahamerized?
What does it mean to be from Britain in a country where by 2063, according to OAS data,
just let it go on.
White British majority will be a minority, and by 2075, the foreign-born in this country, people born in another part of the world, will be a majority in this country. Now, people out there might say, "Well, Matt, why do we care about that?"
No, I'm pausing for that one. That's a disgusting lie. There's been a lot in this thing about us, that is white people, being a minority in the UK, becoming a minority in the UK. It's total horseshit. It's total horseshit. No, this is where immigration gets you. Look at the strangers in our own nation, harking back to that crap as well. Give it a rest. Come on. This is beyond debunked.
My answer to that is, in the course of one lifetime, a child born today, between today and that child entering retirement, they will see the complete demographic transformation of this country in a way that people today cannot even really begin to make sense of. And I don't think...
How would you reverse that?
Well, the reason I raise it is because people can now sense that what has happened over the last 30 years through the Blairite revolution, and particularly under Boris Johnson, that they can now sense that this country has been pushed onto a course that is both profound and which they never...
She's just got this... There's nothing going on. There's nothing going on between the ears, is there? You see a list... Is she even barely awake there? Is she emulating Trump so much that she's fallen asleep during conversations that last more than 9 minutes? Fortunately, we're more than 9 minutes into this. Sack a cack. But though, just in this shot, she's like, yes, I'm absorbing the information, and I'm about to make a very articulate point that, the top sociologists in the world, and best known, so it'd be like listening to Yanis Varoufakis, in conversation with Noam Chomsky.
Voted for. How would you fix it? You would immediately end the policy of mass uncontrolled immigration. You would immediately do what Donald Trump is doing, President Trump in America, detain and deport an estimated 1.3 million illegal migrants in the country. You would have a serious national conversation about how do we boost family? How do we increase birth rates?
I'm sorry, but the phrase national conversation does sound very New Labour to me, Matt.
Okay.
It is the kind of thing that they come up to you rather than saying what they actually think. They say, let's have a conversation.
Let me put it differently. I want to see a Prime Minister standing outside number 10 Downing Street, saying to the country...
That was 30 years ago. New Labour under Tony Blair. Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
If we don't have families who have a larger number of children, this country will not survive.
They don't even know what century they're in, do they?
It's great to be able to welcome Peter McCormack, famous podcaster and Bitcoin expert and friend.
Who?
Peter, just tell us about what you...
Is anyone familiar with the Bitcoiner? Jesus Christ.
You think the state of Britain is now?
Yes.
With his Freedom T-shirt.
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
I think our country is rusting. I think there's a decay in our country. But the thing that really stands out to me, I feel...
Well, it's going orange, that's for sure.
I feel like there's two groups of people in our country living in parallel
That's the
universes.
oxidisation, of course.
I look at the state of the economy, the state of our high streets, the state of our education, and all I see is decay. And there's a separate group of people who think everything's fine. Like the house is on fire, like the meme saying everything's fine. And it one confuses me a lot because I think the decay is so obvious. You just look at the economic figures. You just look at the things like the graffiti on the underground. You look at the shoplifting that's become normalised everywhere, and you're thinking, but this isn't
Varoufakis, sorry. Yanis Varoufakis. Sorry about the mispronunciation there. Yes, quite right, Andy. Sorry, this guy. What does he do again? Podcaster? Random podcaster? Oh yeah, does talking on the internet, does he? God, what a loser. No, seriously though. I can't say I've heard of him. Is anyone here familiar with him? And all the other thing he does, the Bitcoin, with the Bitcoin.
This is what I grew up with. And so I'm...
Sell it. It's going to zero, people. If don't buy the Bitcoin, don't buy the fucking Bitcoin. I'm not officially offering financial advice. This is a political channel, just to re-emphasise that. But crack on with it, dude whose name I've already forgotten.
Worried about that decay, and most of all within that, I'm really worried about the young people of our country, most of all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, but if you're saying that some people...
No, it doesn't for a middle-aged guy with freedom on his T-shirt.
Didn't get it. And I know these people because I used to work for them.
Right.
And with them. You know, I was an MP for 14 years. I was a government minister for 10 years. And Westminster and Whitehall is so insulated. You know, if you're one of the 4 million people that work for the government, you know, you've had pay rises, you've got a great pension.
So far this has been, they say something and then the other person goes, do you know what it is? Do you know what I think it is? I think there's a problem. And they go, yes, there is a problem, isn't there? And people are worried. Oh, about the problem. Yes. Da-da-da-da. The elites and such and such and such and such. And there's a problem that people are worried about. Do people seem worried to you? Almost as if there's a problem?
You might live in a wealthy area of London or the home counties. You're not actually seeing what's going on in Bedford, or you're not seeing what's going on in Bradford. You know, you are insulated from it. And there's so much fake news, isn't there? If you watch the BBC, you'd have no idea that Britain was going to hell in a handcart. You'd think that the main problem was there were too many people on the far right. And that was what was facing our country, or that Donald Trump is ruining it, you know, with various faked up videos of him. So
but
I think it's quite obvious who the people are that are insulated. You know, they work in the public sector, or they work in jobs that are dependent on the public sector. So if you're in the green energy industry, or if you're working in banking, you know, your job is heavily regulated. It's pretty much protected because there's no competition. This is why, you know, some of our friends in the crypto industry might be struggling to enter the British market because it's a very protected market. So there is a group of people who are
should be protecting people who are in cryptocurrency instead of people who are in renewable energy, for example. Is that your new latest proposal, Truss? Fucking hell. I don't know how much more of this I can take in a sustained period. It's like the brain attack marathon. For anybody who knows anything about anything, this is, I don't know, like some sort of resistance challenge for how temperate you are. Jesus Christ. It's like, I don't know. It's like 10 times worse than the worst ever party political broadcast by any party, I guess, that you'd ever wish to see in your life. Then who's this dude? And then Mr. Bitcoin is on here, who wants more legislative protection than environmental protectionists. Well, you might as well get rid of the plants, if that's your attitude, Liz. Very disappointed. Very disappointed.
benefiting from the state of Britain at the moment.
Sure, that is the cause of the decay, or one of the causes of the decay, but people are voting for this. You get the government you deserve, you get the country you deserve, And there are people who are voting for this and justifying it. And that's what I don't understand, is that when the voters look at what's happening to the state of our country and they look at the...
I mean, I could go back beyond when a lot of people were born, and it's just been a series of neoliberals.
economic figures, and they look at our high streets, why are they not protesting on the streets? Instead, what they're doing, they're kind of hopscotching from party to party looking for an answer. How many Labour voters are now going to vote Green because they're so sick of what's happened under Labour and believe now that Zach Polanski is suddenly some miracle worker?
Well, thankfully a lot more than they used to.
Just like what's happened with Reform, that people have have left
the same with your party,
moved to Reform. But what I think they're all missing is there is a problem with the mechanics and the plumbing of our government.
Correct.
And you know this. You talk about this in your book.
Why? Why is a fucking Bitcoin merchant an expert on societal matters all of a sudden, for some reason, as some sort of consultant here during this interview? I've got a mate who does cheap tattoos as well, as you can see. Mates rates.
Book.
Yes.
But how do we wake up a whole country to this?
Well, I think they were partly being woken up because they've seen the same failings under the Blair Brown government, then the Conservative government, now this government. And things haven't got better. We've had economic stagnation for almost 3 decades. So I think people are beginning to understand that the problem might not just be the occupant of number 10 Downing Street, that we've actually got a problem with police chiefs. You know, we've got a problem with the justice system. We've got a problem with our economic system, you know, that is very difficult to run a business in this country anymore. So,
God. Well, I'm going to go on to the minimum wage issue specifically, which comes into the point I'm about to make. Yeah, fuck neoliberalism. Like I was saying, as far back as you go, that's been the problem for most generations now, I guess. But with what Liz Truss is saying here, she just doesn't get that. She just doesn't understand that. No. This isn't just like an elephant in the room that's been ignored. Their own politics is what has caused the things that they're complaining about, and sure as crap won't be the solution as well. But it's a veritable herd in this. Is that a MAGA hat? It is. Oh my! I've not noticed that so far. Perhaps. Oh, she does have a drink. It was obscured in the other shot. She's got a glass of water there next to the plant, which is what was distracting me. But look at the top left. You can see a MAGA hat. Let's plough through, people. Solidarity.
I think one of the jobs that we have, and when I say we, I mean the people that actually want to change the country, is to convince the wider public that that is what the problem is.
And then it becomes, how do you convince them? I'm, you know what I do. I make a podcast. I make content. I interview people. I talk to the camera. I talk about
what?
Economics. I talk about things that happen in our towns. I talk about decay.
What are you fucking credentials?
Of the people who agree with you. And so the occasional person who comes in who disagrees.
Have you studied economics at any level whatsoever?
And this is why I talk about this parallel
There's a lot
reality.
of evidence that the clever...
Because I've got a podcast. Fucking hell. It's worse than I thought. It's worse than I thought. And yeah, Andy, good point, bringing in the big guns. This is the best caliber of guests that we've, and this is the second guest. You know, you want to start with a really strong start and say, God, this they'll all be talking about it tomorrow, everywhere. This new Liz Truss show. It's really got teeth. Composure, you're watching the Brews at 10 on my left eye. This is a serious channel all about politics and society from a left-wing perspective. You might want to consider hitting the thumbs up button at this point in the stream. Perhaps subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. It's back to Liz Truss. Man alive.
The poorer people are, the more able they are to justify absolutely ridiculous beliefs like communism. I mean, there's a reason that communism is an intellectual pursuit, just like transgender ideology. You know, you've got to
because you have to read things
and for a man to become a woman. That's not common sense. That requires a particular kind of clever thinking.
But there's also,
like, we've got an intellectual.
I don't really think there's much, if anything, in the Communist Manifesto about transgender issues. I mean, you could, obviously, the personal, individual liberation, of course, of the proletariat, but not so specific. Just throwing, communism and the trans thing together. Oh my god!
Elite who are out of touch, and they've begun to rationalise the most crazy stuff.
How do you convince
like bingo balls out of a bingo ball machine?
You can
just picking word communism, elite.
Or even ask most ministers,
whatever.
What is inflation and what causes it? I actually don't think many can answer it. And you have all these...
It's a monetary phenomenon,
it's a
isn't
monetary
it, Peter?
phenomenon.
We
Milton
know that.
Friedman said that. But if you ask them that, you ask them, well, it comes from fractional reserve banking, or does it come from QE, or does it come from... where does it come?
It's a percentile representation of the increase of the price of goods, is what it is. It's like the fucking Bermuda Triangle, isn't it? Fucking hell. It's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. Yeah.
From most can't. Yeah, I look at a lot of these left-wing parties who talk about helping the poor. We're here to help the poor. We want to... Yeah. And yet they still support inflationary economics, which what does that do? It makes the rich richer and the poor poorer. I own assets.
You know, if you ever see, old TV clips back in the day, I guess maybe like, even the black and white era, but the sort of early colour era of TV or whenever, and you get people on these sort of, not being rude or anything or ageist, but fucking dinosaurs with bow ties and talking about the economy tonight on whatever it is. Sir Timothy such and such, and these esteemed people, very learned people as well, and highly educated. And now we have the former Prime Minister, whose second guest is someone, and I'm not being rude, but that nobody's heard of, but has a podcast and vlogs Bitcoin. Really? You're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the economy with someone like this instead of some, I don't know, very, very dusty, but very on the, very educated expert, an actual expert on these matters. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Just need another quick moment to myself here, people, to absorb that this is a thing. Let's just say it together once again, people, and remind ourselves that Liz Truss managed to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Didn't win an election, of course, but if she can become Prime Minister, then the lettuce has got a very good chance. Speaking of which, it's actually lost its 100% rating in the poll at the moment, with 7% now thinking that this show will survive, will last longer than the lettuce. Bloody hell. I could barely speak. These two are melting my brain.
Inflation's great for me. Inflation's terrible for poor people.
This is what's happened. You know, we've seen monetary policy, we've seen massive printing of money.
Yes.
It's been a disaster for young people who want to get on the housing ladder, an absolute disaster.
And it's, honestly, Liz, it's the young people I'm worried about most.
It's got nothing to do with the
I think they're gonna
deregulation of the
save
housing
us.
market.
I'm a big believer in Gen Z. I think they are the ones that are going to save us. I think they get it.
I look at the polling for young people, and I look how many of them are voting for left-wing parties who have fantasy economics, and I look how many are voting for conservative parties, and there is a big divide there. And I think we have a problem in this country in that it's kind of not cool to be a conservative if you're young. But it's kind of cool if you follow Rizzle Kids.
No, that's not a problem.
And you see Zach Polanski on stage with a hip-hop band.
I wish that would spread into the older demographics wholesale.
How society is so unfair. And so I think we've got a problem in that we have to somehow sell conservative economics to the young people of this country. I think it's a huge job. I think about it a lot because so many are being drawn into...
Yeah, good point, Red F. I'd rather hear from the bastard cactus at this point. Honestly, it's better than what's coming out of this guy's trap. Graham, you think we need to make the rocket to Mars bigger? Yeah, actually. I didn't previously have any desire to get onto Elon Musk's great fascist death trap rocket. And then when you get there, oh, great. It's an authoritarian dictatorship led by Elon Musk. And if you don't like what he says, then he'll, I don't know, God knows what, but you're stuck on Mars with him. Perhaps that would even be preferable than staying here on Earth. And even though there's a low chance of you ever bumping into one of these two, at least you could rule it out. Or perhaps put them on the rocket to Mars. And then you avoid dying there. Is there going to be another guest? Right, okay. I have no interest in hearing any of the rest of what this guy's got to say. Just in the interest of brevity now. Is he going to be the... Is there going to be another guest? Oh, it looks as though there's someone else. Unless he's gotten changed and painted his fingernails. And next up is the cactus.
The way freedom, in the guise of improving security or whatever else, we've seen our institutions taken over by anti-freedom advocates, you know, whether it's the transgender ideologues or anyone else, and we've seen the police cracking down on their behalf.
That's the
well, they want to be free to change their pronouns. Oh no, not that kind of freedom. So it's still this guy, and then is there a change?
But the communist ideas are already fundamentally anti.
We used to be an inspiration.
It doesn't matter which point you go to, they say the same fucking thing.
And of course, we have the statistics
okay, it's
on
someone else.
illegal migration, which will be the tip of the iceberg.
Who's this? I recognise this shill. Who's this shill in particular? It's the owner of the cactus. And she's... Well, of course, as indoor plants go, they don't need a particularly large amount of attention. For example, this particular species here.
Former politician and broadcaster who's done a lot of work on the problems that we have with...
We used to be an inspiration for the world.
A lot of work on the problems...
Who is it?
Former politician and...
We used to be an inspiration for the world. How many people look at the
Cruella
UK?
de Shill.
That's what we need to be doing now. I don't think there's a single country in the world where people go, we need to be more like the UK.
I'm joined today by Alex Phillips, former politician and broadcaster who's done a lot of work on the problems that we have with migration in Britain. Alex, how bad is it?
I mean, it's shocking. If you look...
Well, went to the doctors. I've got a cream for it. I thought you were going to ask me something about politics. Well, thanks for asking.
at the official statistics for legal migration, we know that with government policy, we're getting up to about a net people 1 million every single year.
And that's bearing in mind that some of the best people are leaving Britain.
Exactly, right. So actually, if you look at the gross statistics, it's easily over 1 million. And a lot of these people don't tend to be skilled workers from Western cultures. Then, of course, we have the statistics on illegal migration, which will be the tip of the iceberg, because largely we're looking at people coming over on small boats, those people who are detected.
Because the Tories closed the other legal avenues by air or other means, which has reduced migrants down to this singular option. What's she called? Alex.
As coming over on small boats. We're not looking at people who are overstaying
Cruella de
student
Vil.
visas, who are coming in.
Yeah, I've seen her on panels before. I'm almost certain.
By aeroplanes, who are then losing their passports, people who are coming in on the backs of lorries. And so what we essentially have is this unprecedented inundation of our islands from cultures which, frankly, really struggle to assimilate with our own.
And we've heard of some really barbaric cases, and I feel like I read the news every day and it's another 12-year-old or a 13-year-old who's been raped or attacked. And yet all of these people seem to have been let into the country. What is going on?
And these are the stories we're hearing.
Let
we're
the
not
false
hearing of all the stories
associations
that go
begin.
unreported, the stories that don't actually even get reported to the police. We tend to only get something in the news cycle if there has been a charge, and we know how vanishingly small that is as a percentage.
No. I noticed that we're only hearing about migrant cases, migrants getting charged, sentenced, so on and so forth. It's the leading story a lot of the time with a large amount of the outlets. This is so inverted backwards on its head. Up is down in Liz Truss land. It really is crazy. It's pure gaslighting. There's nothing short of it.
Percentage of all sexual assault cases. If you look at the statistics in Bournemouth, reported in Bournemouth, coastal part of the United Kingdom, which now has multiple migrant hotels along the beachfront, it's off the charts. And that just gives you a snapshot as to what happens when you start importing young men from deeply medieval misogynistic cultures who are here to either game the system. Some of them might be here because they are genuinely fleeing persecution, but a lot of them, quite frankly...
To be honest, even if...
She just like to make, you're fleeing persecution, are you? But perhaps we might have instigated the persecution via empire and global dominance. You want to be ignorant to that as well? And just paint, they're going to go on about the fighting age male coming over exclusively, nobody else. And certainly the statistics don't show that most of these cases are most likely to be carried out by a family member. I could bring up the stats about the Tommy Robinson rally again, by the way. 42% of those arrested. 42%.
They are. Why Britain?
And
why are we
it?
paying for them?
Right. Why can't these people go to refugee camps or places of
Get your
sanctuary
gibberish
in their
here.
own
It's 2 for 1.
Do you know, I
2
think
for
one
1 on
thing that isn't
gibberish.
spoken about enough is the sheer number of men coming from places like North Africa, coming from the Middle East, who, in my mind, are essentially sexual tourists. There are, without doubt, in my mind, young men coming from cultures where the greatest titillation they have in their home country might be seeing the flash of an ankle. Other than that, the only woman they probably...
This is repugnant. It really is. The bar's pretty low as it goes for a kick-off. I don't know where to start. I'm dumbfounded at this moment in time.
ever see fully uncovered, without a burqa or whatnot, is their own mother.
Oh, fuck
and they
off.
look at Western culture and they think, great, I'm going to go there because these women are worthless. I am taught that these women can be taken as slaves.
With the grooming gangs.
Yeah.
With the Pakistani grooming gangs, we saw the same thing, which is treating white girls like trash.
Yeah.
That's what was going
And this is when people talk about racism all the time in the context of the 21st century.
You are literally sitting there doing racism right now. That's what you're doing. Real-time lack of self-awareness now. And cultural ignorance as well. Beyond words.
Greatest amount of racism in the
Bullshitter DeVille.
United Kingdom is being perpetrated from minority communities against white women. Those are the people who are being...
Okay, yeah, the whites are going to be the minority. The whites are the victims. Yeah. Yeah. And this sex tourism bullshit, whatever it is that she's going on about. Just listing places. Oh, they just happen to all be black and brown as well, by the way. What a nonsense. This is absolute detritus.
Particular type of white woman, isn't it?
Right.
This is not your upper class toff. This is not your middle class professional. This is working class girls.
Right.
That's who's being targeted.
Because they're considered to be more vulnerable, because they're probably easier targets as well. In terms of those who are being actively groomed by the rape gangs, yes, they go after young, underprivileged white girls who are sort of on the margins of society, who don't have the same sort of parental protection, let's say, who are therefore far more vulnerable to exploitation.
We've got a big problem with crime. We've got a big problem with sexual crime.
You've got a big problem with facts is what you've got, Liz, in reality.
It's weird, isn't it? So what's remarkable is the left wing can often get away with doing right wing things in the way that the right wing can't. And if Sir Keir Starmer decided one day he had a
And say what now, motherfucker?
Moment of genius and went, oh, do you know what? I'm going to be the first leader in Europe to properly turn boats around and reinforce my nation's borders because I can. I'm going to either use, I don't know, American mercenaries, the armed forces, whatever, but I'm going to make sure these boats...
Shall I tell you what would happen?
Are we going to hear an example cited of how the left wing used right wing tactics? She just led off on something else and now Liz Truss is coming in with something. So, not going to back up that point at all.
The civil service would stop him. They'd say, Prime Minister, you can't do that.
Don't exhaust your mental energy trying to work that one out. What she might have had in mind. Because she literally just said it in that moment. She literally just thought of it in that moment. She thinks it sounds good. She thought it sounded good. Right there in that moment. So she just said it. Oh yeah, the left use right-wing tactics. Something else. Quick. Liz will interrupt with another excellent, and this is like A class, you know, master's politics level and economics debating analysis happening right here. These two seats with the plant and the fucking hat.
It's illegal.
So
that's what would happen.
There is the blob. There's the sort of the deep state and the blob. Why it seems nobody in Downing Street can actually get anything done. But I don't think the will and the impetus is there.
Well, it's definitely not, is it? Because let's be honest, Keir Starmer is a human rights lawyer.
Again, don't bother exhausting your mental energy trying to figure any of these things out.
To the country and stop them leaving. That was literally his job.
Yeah. It's cultural suicide. Because even if you take out the egregious harms being done as a result of mass migration, we're talking about the massively increased terror threat. And that's a really important topic we've got to be alive to.
I have heard more sensible things come out of the mouths of people at parties, in kitchens, at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, when they've been on all sorts of fucking shit. Seriously. They at least know what's going on. They might have somewhat of a amplified imagination at that point during the early hours of the morning, but they sure as shit make more fucking sense than these two. even someone curled up in a corner at a rave, chewing their own fucking lips off and clutching a bottle of water, will come up with a more accurate philosophical worldview than this absolute pair of fucking pillocks.
So what kind of terror threat do you think we've got now in Britain?
It's a matter of time, Liz, until something really bad happens. I think we know this now. So various things we know for certain. We know that the human trafficking routes are exploited by terror organisations to make money. Where once it was opium and drugs, do you know what? That stuff doesn't make as much cash anymore. We know the Taliban, for instance, will sell documents.
And you probably know, but
which essentially threaten Afghani residents. You know, dear Mohammed, we're going to come and kill you. Love the Taliban. So when Mohammed lands in Britain, he says, oh, look, this was posted through my door. They're selling that. We know that essentially...
Get the fuck out of town.
You're a total bloody shambles!
That's a bit loud, that. I'll turn that clip down in future, sorry. Sorry, people. Fucking hell, Remy.
Essentially, they're making documentation. There's an estimate that there are sleeper cells in every town and city in Europe with 5 to 10 members. They are planning a multi-casualty, mass-coordinated terror attack across the whole of the Western world, as far as I can tell.
As far as you can tell with your expertise. Yeah. And your vast intelligence network, no doubt. As far as you can tell. So I'm going to make a very broad and vague, non-time specific prediction about an event. A bad one. A very bad one. Could it be worse than the last bad one? Oh, yeah, definitely. At least as bad as the last bad one. We should definitely be at least as afraid as well of this unnamed threat. Or this unnamed... You know, bold claims require pretty bold evidence. I can't believe what I'm hearing here, people.
Going to essentially try and coordinate multiple October the 7th. And we now have these people undocumented. If you're going to get terrorists into the country, that's the route you're going to use. We had them undocumented in hotels in every town and city, now being put in houses of multiple occupancy, unmonitored residential properties, or former military barracks.
Well, I mean, they're being moved out of the hotels.
What, do you want them to have fucking toilet attendants?
In residential streets.
Yeah. I mean, look, the hotel situation is an abomination.
I mean, it's outrageous.
In my mind, yeah.
People are getting to stay in 4-star hotels.
Yes.
You know, that normal families in Britain cannot afford.
Right.
Doc, yeah, she knows the tea leaves. No, someone in the salons, clairvoyant, cousins, Gardner actually confirmed this. So it's 100% verified, everything that she's saying.
Can't afford because they've been absolutely shafted with massive inflation, stagnant wages, no growth. The economy is in freefall in our country. And yet we're seeing illegal migrants staying in 4-star hotels.
And we also know from some of these reports, there was one particular incident of one man at the infamous Britannia Hotel down in Canary Wharf, who was a known terrorist. He'd been in prison in Egypt for making bombs. He's then given, you know, an appeal for deportation from the United Kingdom. And so
you can't say those two words
this
on
terrorist bomb maker who's now
this
in
platform.
Britain saying, oh, I want to claim asylum. First of all, it should be a case of get out, you're dangerous. But you'd think that the security services, at the very least, would have eyes on with this guy. Well, no, because one day he goes on a jolly outside the hotel and decides to rape somebody.
I hope the psychiatric services have got their eyes on you, Alex.
You know, from various elements.
Focusing on outlying cases, of course, purely based on the colour of people's skin, ignoring the real statistics.
It wasn't just tunnels from Egypt, but also they would have boats coming from places like Cyprus where they would put a weapons cache into the sea with a detector, and at night time under the cover of darkness.
It is
I know, I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm worried. Is it a problem? Is it a problem?
to me that if you spend enough
I think
time
there's
in
a
central
problem.
London and you
Are you
avoid
worried?
various parts of the city,
but it's spreading.
Round and round
so
we
this
go.
Is the thing. And actually, with the illegal migration, as government policy is now, for instance, to move migrants from hotels into former army barracks. Now, the interesting thing about that, those barracks are largely in rural communities.
And what? Yeah, and on the next question time, whatever, they'll move them into underground dungeons, and someone in the audience is going to go, "Well, I lived in an underground dungeon for 15 years, and you don't hear me complain. That's actually really good, you know." And then it'll turn into the Yorkshireman sketch. Fuck's sake.
That hadn't got any migration. You know, around the barracks you'll have villages of about 600 people where all of a sudden you're going to have 600 undocumented men from principally Muslim.
Yeah, they're giving the... Popeye made this. Free army bases. So that's like... I don't know. Cultural reference. A bit retro, I think, but when they used to look the A-Team in tool sheds, yeah, this was a class army outfit. Let's lock them in a room full of tools and an almost almost fully functional vehicle. What could go wrong? So then all of a sudden, oh, hang on a minute, and then we're going to be hearing, "Well, you know what's happening, don't you? Have you seen all these army bases? They're full of..." God.
Countries. You'll have families in these villages who are connected to the armed forces, and 600 men coming over who probably want to murder the UK armed forces. So this problem is going to just keep spreading and spreading and spreading.
Probably. I just thought about it. Equals probably.
And I was thinking the other
So what
day,
can be done? What can be done? Because we've heard about the terrorism, we've heard about the sex crime, you know, the just sheer unfairness of illegal migrants basically getting more rights than British citizens. And that's the fundamental problem with the Human Rights Act that Tony Blair passed. It was giving rights to people who weren't Britons, the same rights as our own people. And people are beginning to wake up to that. So what can we do about this, Alex?
It's got to be a multi-pronged approach. It's got to be extremely
That sounds very New Labour.
It's Operation Dehumanisation is what it's going to be. Launched with this counter-revolution.
Does it? Yeah, multi-pronged. Have you got a raft of solutions?
Multi-pronged, yes. The trident of...
crossing the channel with solutions.
The trident of bullshit.
No, and what needs to be done is we need to completely overhaul all the legislation that enables these loopholes, that prevents deportations, etc. Has to be completely exercised from our political...
Pesky human. Who needs them anyway? Human rights.
Deporting anybody who's come here illegally. We then have to go deeper than that, and this is where it gets more delicate. But one thing I think that would be extremely important is, as well as the stick, you need the carrot.
It's not as delicate as your argument.
And you also need other pressures, which will hopefully start encouraging people to move on out of the United Kingdom who don't adapt to the United Kingdom.
I want to thank my guests for coming on the first ever Liz Truss show. What we've heard is that...
That was a very professional end and edit to that interview. Fuck. Oh, it's over at least. Right. Whoo. Let it sink in. Let it absorb. I don't know how many views it's on. I didn't even bother to look before I started to play the clip. But by the way, it's a download. So, what do we make of this? There's actually 3 minutes left on the clip. What's it going to be?
Britain really is in a establishment, the ruling class, the elite.
It just appears to be her with a 2-camera diatribe, basically repeating all of those words that we heard before. It's bingo card time. It's
Or the idea that somehow Britain should be ashamed of its history and we should...
In fact, let's do a short experiment here, people. I'm going to literally choose a point from the video at random and play 2 seconds. I'll give it 3 goes. What do you think the chances that I can hit a deep state? Alright, let's go. There. 15 minutes, 2 seconds we're going to be at. And it's this douche.
After Brexit, is that we have actually become a little bit more Europe.
Not that time. Another random.
I think they're going to save us. I'm a big believer in Gen Z.
Okay, another random.
Zealots. Small businesses are dying. Big businesses are leaving. We're now...
Oh well. But we're not going to listen to the rest of her diatribe anyway. I think that's quite enough of that for one evening, nay, lifetime. What an absolute embarrassment, people. Really, this is actually how Americans view the country in their worldview. They take her word for it. They utterly buy into that. You're ashamed of her. That's another way of putting it. Red F, absolutely. Yeah, and that guy, whoever it was, Mr. Bitcoin, and that was literally, you know, some sort of backhander. I'll make you second guest on what's going to be my hit new show. Mr. Economics. So just that brief allegory I made when she was interviewing that guy. Just imagine him on one of those old shows. Analysing politics, analysing the economy. And we have Sir Eden Heaton Smythe, who has a Masters in Economics at University College London. You know, whatever. And Bitcoin Boy. I said boy. Middle-aged neckbeard. Right, let's well, we're going to have to quickly move through some of the stories. But that's just about it for the debut of the Liz Truss show.
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
Before I move on to the next, well, it's going to be an article, please do make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream. That would be fantastic.
Can you dig it?
Don't have a massive selection this evening, but that's turned out quite fortunate because I'm a bit short on time. That was difficult to get through. That was difficult to get through. It's a facepalm epic, if you want to put it that way. Okay, we can cover that another time, so we'll just quickly go with this one, because leaving the EU came up a few times during that air quotes show. And it appears that there's now at least something of a minor effort. Whispers in the wind, perhaps. On joining the customs union. But how? Don't you have to be a member? Right, okay, we'll see what's happening. 13 Labour MPs have voted on this for talks on joining EU Customs Union. You can hear the FBPE crowd getting overexcited from here, can't you?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
So, Labour's manifesto ruled out rejoining the existing EU Customs Union, and Keith has recently said such a move was, quote, not our current policy. The vote on the bill was tied. That's a draw, with 100 MPs voting each way, leaving Deputy Speaker Caroline Noakes to cast the deciding vote. That's quite rare, but of course the Speaker does get a vote. She told MPs she would back the bill in order to allow for further debate, so it was the Deputy Speaker who swung the vote in the end. But the majority abstained, whilst 3 voted against. The 3 were Jonathan Brash, Luke Meyer and Josh Newbury. 89 Tory MPs and 4 members of Reform voted against the bill. Obviously the Lib Dems would have voted for it. But I don't think anybody, pro or against leaving, should get too overexcited at this point. It's talks, you know. How this could feasibly happen, I'm not even going to attempt to begin to hypothesise as we get to 3 minutes past midnight here in the UK on the stream. But like I pointed out earlier, you know, don't you have to be a member? Won't this perhaps exclusivity or special treatment upset some of the other current members? Are we going to upset the European EU apple cart? Very quick mention about that, like I said. Something relatively local here from Ashton-under-Lyne. Angela Rayner, who's set to make a return to the cabinet, of course, remember. Because when you're outcast forever in the cabinet, it's only temporary, of course. But she has apparently put a lot of work into the Employment Rights Bill, and has urged others to hold steadfast and said, now is not the time to blink or buckle. So this surrounds the rights of workers and unfair dismissals. Specifically, that new workers get these rights from day one. Excuse me. And hopefully this can help prevent things that happen in mass industry, and we're talking about the you know, the Amazons of the world and whatnot, perhaps even a lot of the supermarket chains themselves. I think Walmart in America in particular has a certain reputation for, shall we say, quick turnover of staff, because they know that there are an endless line of people filling out job applications. They can treat them like crap and fire them if they don't agree to these draconian conditions or whatever. So yeah, they burn through quite a lot of staff, and it's perhaps an attempt at least to try and put a stop to that. I won't go into, again, too much detail about what's in the bill, but that's going to be coming up. The vote on that, of course, the Tories wanting to drag us out of the EC, HR, workers' rights would have been included in a lot of that. We all know what they think about workers' rights in general. So there she is. The MP for Ashton-under-Lyne. Not particularly far from where the stream's coming to you from this evening, people. Sorry to hastily just jog through these stories, by the way. Times are catching up with us. And I do have another comedy clip. So we'll go straight over to that right now, actually. And it's not recent, it's old but gold, but it does concern the main topic of tonight's live stream. You know who. The dumb one. One of the dumbest, that's for sure. But Room Next Door with Liz Truss, featuring the fantastic Michael Spicer. Go and subscribe to his YouTube channel if you don't already. Once again, bear with me, people. I do have to upload the comedy clip. Fingers crossed it won't crash the shit out of everything this time.
Just to be completely clear.
It's all happening. It's live. It's exciting. Will it crash? No, it looks to be Oh, I spoke too fucking soon. Just give me a few seconds, people. Bit optimistic on the 20 seconds. Slightly longer. Thanks for your patience, sir. I did speak too soon. Hooray, it worked. Goes up in flames. But that's technology.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on my left eye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the Ghoulies, and left a comment down below. Thank you.
So again, hopefully without further ado, Michael Spicer. Subscribe and stuff.
Just to be completely clear for people, you said that you're controlling bills for a typical
family. What has actually happened is that you've capped the unit price, and
many people may well end up still paying more than £3,500.
we should be crystal clear about that, shouldn't we?
Not really.
So I understand how worried people are.
Say that the problem that you created last week is a global problem that's been around for years.
This is a global
But this
phenomenon.
is not just a global problem. Absolutely, there are issues in economies right around the world right now. But this is not just a global problem.
Okay, she's going to twist the knife in here, right? So just try and put her off by doing that thing that you do with your eyes, nothing.
What happened was that the pound slumped, interest rates shot up.
Keep staring at her with disdain. It's all you've got at the moment. Pretend that she's a pound shop or something.
So I'm afraid there is an issue that interest rates are going up around the world.
And we do have to face that, and we do have to tackle that responsibly.
And we do have to face that, and we do have to do that. But...
What?
I do want to say to people...
You didn't get to the end of that sentence. You just went, blah.
But I do accept...
We should have laid the ground better.
We should have laid the ground better.
Principally by not lining it in the first instance with bear traps and fire.
I believe we need to grow the size of the pie.
Yes, that's it. More pie talk. People understand pies.
That's fundamentally what we need to do as a country.
That's right. We need to grow from a
cheese.
Waitrose picnic mini pork pie into a massive steak and kidney bastard.
But Prime Minister, I've asked you if you're going to cut spending on public services.
Oh no.
Are you going to cut spending on public services?
Right, take a pause and bring your hand up again. And explain your approach.
My approach is to...
Say something? Anything?
The key thing is to get the economy growing faster.
Pies!
So the pie is bigger.
Really big. A big bathtub-sized Melton Mowbray pie.
And we need to move away. We need to move away from...
Did Laura Kunzberg just sigh? Did she just sigh at my pie?
Can I ask you, Prime Minister, did you discuss scrapping the top rate with your whole cabinet?
Yes, of course I did. I ran through all major policy decisions with my cabinet, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with me because I am the Prime Minister and it's my duty to...
No.
Okay.
No, we didn't. It was a decision that the Chancellor made.
Oh, now this is probably the Chancellor ringing me from under the bus that you just threw in.
I mean, I get up every morning as Prime Minister thinking...
Cha-ching.
How many people voted for your plan?
You only got up 39 times, though.
Say pie again.
Pie.
We're running out of time and you've made that point.
You've set out...
Kwasi, can you hold on a minute? I'm talking to... Well, frankly, that is disgusting language coming from a Chancellor. Have you been watching Succession again? What's going on? Why aren't you saying anything? Look, when I'm not here, you've still got to talk. Say this is a global problem or something.
This is a global problem.
Okay, Prime Minister Liz Truss,
Thank you very
so
much
much for joining us here
you.
in Birmingham this morning.
We're going to need a bigger pie.
Michael Spicer. Great stuff. All but gold. Go and subscribe. Speaking of shout-outs to quality people, thanks once again to all the members on the channel. We're getting towards the end of proceedings here for this evening, but I'll search for a redirect and we'll raid in somewhere. Hopefully. Do stick around, people. Don't go anywhere. And whilst I'm doing this, just triple check that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. If you're watching back later on, super thanks are available. There's a Buy Me a Coffee page. Check the link in the description of the stream. Solidari-Tea, one and all. I'm going to be back with you tomorrow evening, of course, for PMQs and Keith's catchphrases as the league goes on. 2 new contenders following last week's draw. So as per the rules, we wipe the slate clean where contenders are concerned. So a lot to get excited about. And there's just one streamer at the moment. It's this space across in the States. So that's what we'll be raiding into in a few moments or so after we say our goodbyes. But first of all, I must say thank you once again to Andy Carter for a gifted membership at Solidari-Tea, brother. 101. It's now the current standing. There we go. What a fine way to finish the stream, I think. You've all been great with your comments this evening as well. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for being here with me as we went through that awful show together. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, there, thems, and comrades alike. That will be it. From me, your humble host, Lefty, on the Brews at 10, on my left eye. Pre-Palestine, pre-Sudan, Yemen and Lebanon, and power to the people. We'll be seeing you soon. The lettuce won the poll, by the way. That's your end credits scene. Good night.